I'm here to talk about not pod, but one kind of a pod, autonomous buses. And I had a discussion with Magnus some month ago where he said, yeah, but now you're going to take our solution for a problem. And I said, no, it's not taking a solution, it's combining solutions. This solution is for one type of problem, Podcars is other solution, and we need to have different solutions for different problems, and we need to do them together. We've started doing projects with autonomous vehicles. We actually started to do so on closed areas. We started in Kista 2 years ago, and then a few ones have followed. Annika from Täby to the right here. We did just a day trial. We had, I think, 800 people riding with us during that day. Helsingborg, we had a week's test, city center of Stockholm, and so on. And what we found out was that a lot of people are interested in this and are really eager to use it. And Annika can probably answer that question as well, that most people that ride with these cars are positive. Anna's doing a study on that, and the reaction I expected was more negative than positive, but I would say 99% are positive. The most negative I heard is a 92-year-old lady. She said that this is the end of the world. Because in the Bible it says when the car is driven without a horse, then it's the end of the world. Don't know if it's true or not, but hopefully not. But the rest of them are fairly positive. What we decided on after this Kista trial was that, okay, a trial is a trial, and closed road is a closed road. Then you can steer people, how they behave, and so on and so forth. So we said we need to take this out in public, and we need to do it on public streets. Because I know how the vehicle works. If I jump in front of a vehicle, I know that it stops. But the public don't. So how can we get real tests? Closed road is not a real test. So we had a 1.5 year long discussion with the transport agency in Sweden and the government and so on and so forth. And in 21st of December last year, we got the first approval in Scandinavia to drive autonomous vehicles on public roads. So we started with the Kista project to your left, where us and KTH and a lot of other companies joined together and said, let's start this trial on public roads. And we've been driven in Kista for 6 months. And in parallel to that, we have also started driven a project in Oslo, and we're now starting a project in Copenhagen, and I will talk about Barkami a little bit later. Sorry. Kista, in total, all projects, we've driven close to 40,000 people. So if you look at other big autonomous tests around the world, we always talk about how many kilometers you've been driven and so on. We measure people because we need to have more people on board to get them to understand how good this is. We have on average 200 people per day. In Kista we had an average of 4.46 people on board on each trip. So it's really good and efficient, and they are very good in using the power as well. You probably know about these kind of vehicles. Looks like that one. All the vehicles looks more like the same. They're driven by lidars or steered by lidars, which is like a laser signals that sends out signals and bounce back, and then we create a surrounding. We have a digital map. With that digital map, we have save all the static objects and remove all the moving objects. And then we take that map and put it into the memory of the vehicle and then tell it to drive here. So we have a virtual rail. And we tell them how fast they can drive, where to stop, etc., etc. And if I move closer to the vehicle, it slows down, and if I get really close, it stops. So it behaves like you and me when we drive our car. If I see something that's risky, we reduce speed or stop. It can drive subway mode, stop at every stop, or bus mode that you ask it to stop, otherwise it will pass. You can also, but we won't do that for a period yet, so probably a year or two when we start going on demand. And on demand is a fancy word, and I don't like it because I don't think on demand is actually something you need. If you have these type of solutions, then they will come with a frequency. Then you don't need to have on demand. On demand will just create more traffic. So it's better to have a constant flow. And then you can change that flow, how often you need them to be there. These solutions is also something for the last and first mile. They will be connected to other public transport means, buses, trains, subways, etc., etc. And again, it's not a solution that will remove walking and bikes. We want people to continue to walk and use the bikes. This is to be able to get people putting the cars on the side and starting going from door to door or close to your door to close to your end door. The sub-projects we have had in Kista has been this, and 99% of the questions are about the first topic, the vehicles. I think that's 1% of the problem. The rest is where we need to put our focus. How do we actually do operations? How do we secure that? Today, when we set out a bus, we ask the driver to drive it to the start position. How do we secure that the bus without a driver is where it should be? How do we traffic manage it? How can we send signals to the bus from our control center to do something else than we have first decided? How do we maneuver them, etc., etc. Then we come down to the four last ones, which is the most important things, and that's the customer interface and behavioral studies. Anna and her team will do a presentation the 17th of this month at KTH regarding the behavioral studies. And what we found out during these live tests, because again, when you do live tests, then you get things that you didn't expect. Today, when we drive a normal bus driver, very few people jump in front of the bus. With these buses, we found out that people jump in front of the bus to stop it, because it stopped. And then you can try to get on. So behaviors tend to be something that you don't expect. So, and then you have other things. How willing are you to pay for this, etc., etc. So I urge you to come to Anna's session 17th, or Drive Sweden. And then you have property and city planning and so on and so forth. What happens with, as you see on the picture here, we got a lot of snow. How do you clean the streets for snow? How do they work? How do you plan the city moving forward? And that's the main focus moving forward then. And 2 months ago, we got the approval from Swedish Transport Agency to start our project in Barkarby, which is the northern part of Stockholm. It's a newly built area. It will be 18,000 apartments. It's a small city of Sweden. And in this area, now we got an approval for the complete area. So we don't have to put the bus in one street driving back and forward. We can drive wherever we want in that area. that we got an approval for. We will also connect it to, as you see, a bus, and that will be a BRT line. So you can take these pods from your apartment to your BRT bus stop, and the bus will take you to your final destination. And the most important thing with this is the behavior, because when we built the city of Barkarby, people will move in there, and normally it takes a year or two until the public transport arrives. And then people start buying cars. And then the public transport comes, and then they still have a car, because you have already created behavior. Now we can put out pods meanwhile the city is growing. And we can take people to the hubs and drive them further. We'll start this sooner this month. And we'll start with 3 buses, and after 6 to 8 months we'll expand to 6 buses, and hopefully we'll continue to increase. And we'll also develop the technology behind and go maybe on demand or something else. And Anna and her team is in this as well, to look at behaviors, to be able to find out what can we do here to put it in different areas. How do we make it even better? So I already preach for the choirs here, but what's the possible gain? Is the future bright or is it dark? If we take the technology or autonomous solutions and put it on our current behavior, everything points in the direction that it will go bananas. You will sit in your car and it will be on the spot that you start, because there will going to be so many cars, so you won't be able to move. It will be comfortable though, because it will be one car and you will lay in there. Or it could be really, really bright, and that's a movie in Drive Sweden with Ahlgrens bilar, which is really good. So go into Drive Sweden and watch that film, because that's the bright future. I think none of them are the way to go. I think actually the future must be smart, and we talked about multi-modular and so on and so forth. And we need to have different solutions for different problems. So podcars, autonomous vehicles, buses, tubes. But the main thing is that we do it combined, joint. We need to share, not sit in one car with one person or 1.3 or whatever you like to have the calculation. Thank you.